Need a winter holiday escape? Forget your cares in Fiji. White sand beaches and scuba diving are calling. Your tropical paradise getaway is just one nonstop Fiji Airways flight away, with round-trip fares starting at $899 from LAX or SFO. Or check out great fares to Australia and New Zealand with seamless connections via Fiji. Book now at FijiAirways.com. From here to happiness, flying direct with Fiji Airways.
Trying to find your happiness this winter? Let Fiji Airways fly you there direct. Whether you're sunbathing or snorkeling, dining or dreaming, you'll experience legendary Fijian hospitality. Expect the warmest of welcomes in this Pacific paradise. Unplug, unwind, and relax in your happy place. Fiji. Get great deals on direct flights to happiness at FijiAirways.com. That's FijiAirways.com. You deserve this. Go from here to happiness. Flying direct with Fiji Airways.
Hey, it's Jim Chapman reminding you that if you have not heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. 1, it's free. 2, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. 3, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's really everything you need to make a podcast in only one place. It makes it easy, folks. So do me a favor, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Hi, it's Trisha Johnston, residential realtor with Ladder & Bloom with your real estate tip of the week. Tax season is when a lot of people start thinking about getting into real estate investing. It's a great way to diversify your investment funds, but many new investors don't know how to get started. One option is buying rental properties where you can have rental income and take advantage of some tax deductions while the property grows in value. The key to success is buying in an area where you'll be able to keep the property occupied and where future resale values look strong. A second option is buying properties to renovate and flip or resell. The keys to success for flipping properties are to not overpay up front, not over-improve the property for the area, and to buy where current resale values are strong. A good CPA and an experienced realtor can help guide you, making real estate a great place to invest and grow your hard-earned money. If you have any questions, just give me a call. I'm Trisha Johnston, residential realtor with Ladder & Bloom, and I'll be back here next week with another real estate tip for you.
It's Mardi Gras season and Premier Credit is ready to throw you some cash. Any loan, any reason, and fast. For more information, call 225-667-8100 or apply online at premiercredit.com. Premier Credit, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. One of my favorite parts when hosting Local Leaders, the podcast, is the research that I perform before each show. Now, in an effort to do the best job I can to get my guest message out there, I want to really dive deep into who they are outside of what they do. Jeff Taylor, you're no exception to that rule, really. You are the assessor for Livingston Parish, and you have an interesting life outside of just assessing. So we're going to talk about all of that, but I want to welcome you to the Local Leaders of the podcast, Mr. Jeff Taylor.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
It's an honor. Now, you stay really busy with all the things you do in Livingston Parish. We're definitely going to cover all of that. But I want to get kind of an idea of who you are, outside of that. Tell me about where you were born and raised and where you went to high school.
I was born in a little community called Coyell. Coyell is right outside Livingston, and anytime that you can use Livingston and French Settlement to describe where somewhere's at, it's a small area. But I wouldn't change it for nothing in the world. I grew up around my best friends. We've stayed in touch even all this time, even though I moved to Denham Springs, which is not that far.
Sure.
But when you get in life, things change. And I went to Frost Elementary School. And I went there for the first 6 years of my schooling. And great memories. In fact, I went to North Dakota to go to see our Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
And I wore my Frost jersey. I think it was South Dakota, actually, we went to. But I was representing Frost in that deal. Then I went to Doyle. I went to junior high at Doyle, and then I also went to Doyle High School.
Okay.
And I graduated in 1982.
Okay.
That was my schooling.
Awesome. And at some point you got married, had kids and all this?
I got married in 1986 to Delia Adams, who was my high school sweetheart.
Awesome.
And we married right after I got out of college. I was actually in my last semester at college when we got married.
Yeah.
And then we've had 2 children.
Awesome.
Zachary is 26 and Caroline is 22. Zach graduated from LSU a couple years ago in journalism. And Caroline she'll graduate this May, and she is a basketball player up at Rhodes. And that's my favorite team.
Rhodes College,
Memphis,
Tennessee. Look, and she's a smart one.
There's
no doubt.
She got that from her mom, I can assure you.
I know that feeling firsthand. And Rhodes, as a matter of fact, one of their alumni is our Supreme Court Justice, Amy Coney Barrett.
That's exactly right. And my daughter, believe it or not, was in neuroscience, and she was going to go into medical school, and all of a sudden things happened over the last year or so, and she is going to law school.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Who knows? One day we may have our second one from Rhodes.
That would be awesome. Yeah, very smart, very smart. You got to be sharp to get in Rhodes.
Yeah,
that's a great college. So she's a basketball player there.
Basketball player. She's a 4-year letterman. She's the last 2 years she started. They've won a conference championship, and her sophomore year, they actually played an NCAA tournament, which is rare.
Yeah.
You've got to win everything in your conference to be able to get there, so they won it, and she actually scored in the NCAA tournament. And I tell her all the time, I said, you don't understand. That's pretty big that you actually scored in a tournament. So
absolutely,
she's doing very well.
Wow, good for her. Yeah. So in a one-on-one basketball game, who wins, dad or daughter?
Well, I don't know how to play basketball. I play more of a foot basketball.
Yeah.
And so I'm bigger than her, so every time she goes to shoot, I just throw her down.
There you go. Yeah.
But as far as horse and everything like that, no match.
No match.
No, not even close.
Shoot the lights out, huh?
Yeah. It's not fair.
Yeah, I hear you. Now, in addition to all that, you're the son of a preacher man, right? So Aretha Franklin sang the song so well, and you are a son of a preacher man, and not just any run-of-the-mill preacher man. Mm-mm. So your father, who was Delmas Taylor, was actually the longest-serving active pastor in Livingston Parish prior to his passing in 2016.
That's right.
Growing up and now, how much of a role did faith play in your life?
Faith is everything.
Yeah.
My mom and dad, they raised us, and unlike a lot of times you see on TV, ministers, a lot of money and things like that, that wasn't the case. My dad served a church. He started a church out in Livingston, in the Coyell area, and he served it for over 58 years.
Yeah.
And his salary never was much more than about $12,000 or $13,000 a year.
Wow.
And so he worked outside the home, outside the ministry. So there was many times that my dad would work 8 hours, and then he would come home, take a shower, and go to the hospital to visit, or he'd be 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. We didn't get to spend a lot of Christmas Eves with my dad.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things happen on Christmas Eve.
Sure.
And people always were coming to the house. I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it for anything. He grounded us. And my mom also, they grounded us in the scripture. They grounded us in the word and prayer.
Yeah.
And the thing, Jim, I don't live up to the things that he does, but if I could be half as respected as he was.
Yeah.
And he passed away when I passed. If I can be half that, then I was a success.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it for nothing. There's nothing about being a son of a preacher man that I would change.
Yeah.
I had somebody tell me the other day, and they went on Facebook to say it, and they said, well, he hides behind his religion. And the truth of the matter is, Jim, I don't know where else to hide.
Yeah.
Because
it's a strong statement.
You know, when you're sitting there and you know that you've made errors and you made mistakes and you mess up in your office or whatever you do,
sure,
he puts you in his quiver.
Yeah.
It says you're an arrow, and he hides you in the cleft. So when they say I hide behind my religion, thank you. That's the only place I know where to hide.
Yeah, that's a pretty good compliment, actually.
Yeah,
and, you know,
absolutely.
we're all imperfect as people.
Absolutely.
And so I can see how much it means to you, your faith, and I think that's obviously a great thing. Now, you are the assessor for Livingston Parish, but you weren't always the assessor. You were actually in the insurance industry for 13 years prior to that. And I would imagine that kind of served as a good springboard into what you would make your life's work later on, which was assessing.
Well, you know, when you're in insurance, at first I started off, I was in life insurance. Mm-hmm. Well, I never just wanted to do life insurance. I wanted to do property and casualty.
Yeah.
And the more you get into property and casualty, if you're selling property and casualty, you got to know bricks and sticks and everything, how it takes to finish a home, how much it costs to replace it. And so I was looking at it and I said, you know what? I think I can do this. I know I can do this job. I've been trained to do this job as assessing, because what you're doing is assessing value.
Yeah.
And you do it a little bit different. You do it on a mass appraisal instead of an individual, but it's basically the same concept.
Yeah.
And so I decided I was going to run. And fortunately, in 1999, I won.
Yeah.
You know,
how about that?
Yeah. And so it was my first time off into political life. I was 36 years old, and I had no idea what I was asking for when I took it. I didn't know until August of the next year how bad it was.
Yeah.
But we've been able to do a lot of stuff in that office.
Yeah, you really have. And we're going to get into some of the great things that y'all have done since you've been in the assessing office.
From humble beginnings in 1989, Big Mike's has long been a place for friends and family to gather for lunch, dinner, and drinks. Big Mike, Jocelyn, and their friendly staff invite you to come in and relax in one of their spacious dining areas, or watch a game on one of the big screen TVs. Big Mike's is a place to meet old friends or make new ones. Big Mike's offers daily and nightly specials, and they specialize in serving up delicious and fresh menu items. Big Mike's offers a catering menu for large groups and has private party rooms for up to 100 guests. Whether you're planning a quick lunch or a large family dinner, or just a night out with friends, Big Mike welcomes you to experience a great time. And don't forget to grab some t-shirts, caps, or koozies in the gift shop. Oh, or a bottle of Big Mike's Honey Dijon. It's delicious. Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill. We're kind of a big deal.
And the first thing I want to do is kind of get the misconceptions out of the way with what you do, actually, because I've had people think that it's, you know, exactly like when you get an appraisal. So if you go assess a house and in a home appraisal, they're the exact same thing. They probably differ a little bit. But what you definitely do not do is you're not the tax man. You're not the guy that taxes people and collects those taxes and things like that. As a matter of fact, I just wrote mine out recently, and I didn't write it to you.
Right.
That's for sure. So obviously you don't have that responsibility, but kind of break it down into exactly what an assessor does for a parish.
Okay, assessor is, the name says it all.
Yeah.
I assess value.
Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah.
I do it on a mass appraisal. So there's a lot of times people will come in and say, well, my neighbor right across the street from me, we have the same house, but my taxes are higher than his. Okay, first of all, I don't do anything with your taxes. Let's look at the assessment.
Yeah.
So your house is the same. If it's the same exact house, built on the same time, everything is equal, then they should be assessed the same.
Right.
Oh, well, he's got another room in his. He's got another 100 square feet. Then they're not the same. I do it by square
different.
footage.
Yeah.
So at 100 square feet, if you're looking at $100 a square feet, that's $10,000 more.
Sure.
Okay. So we do it on a mass appraisal, though. I go into a subdivision, we grade it out, we see how many different classifications they have. Mm-hmm. And then we come to a square footage per classification. In doing that, everybody is assessed equally.
Sure.
Now, it has took us a long time to get it to where everybody is assessed equally. There are still people that we know, we don't know who they are, but we know there's some fraud and everything in here. Because the way, when I first walked in the office, Jim, we did a spot check on Florida Boulevard from Denham Springs to Livingston. 30% of the property was not listed, not under assessed. It was not listed, not listed. And so I've went from $101 million of total value, of taxable value in our parish. When I walked in the door, first thing I did is I purged the records of all the stuff that wasn't good anymore. Went down to $94 million. We're at $580 million in a taxable value now. Yeah, so we have increased 400-something%. We've only increased 50% of people. Right. So that starts to tell you that we've been out there working. My guys, we're down to like 400 structures in this parish that have not had a tape measure on them out of everything.
That's unbelievable.
We're down to like 400. We're going to finish that this year. So what does the assessor do? He goes out there and he makes sure that the measurements are right. Yeah. I was amazed when I come in at how many houses were assessed at $74,900. Yeah. You know why? Why? Homestead's $75,000. Yeah. So if you got your friends and everything in there, all of a sudden you make them $74,900. Yeah. They don't have to pay taxes. No taxes. So we're going to pass a tax on the people that are over $75,000. Mm-hmm. And how did we used to pass all the taxes in the parish? And you're not going to pay anything for that. It's just going to be the rich people paying it. So you vote for it. You vote for the school millage. You vote for the sheriff's millage. You vote for drainage, because you're not going to have to pay for it. Right. Well, if anything happened, values have now exceeded over $75,000, and everybody's having to pay. Right. So we got to go out there and make sure that people are getting their fair assessment. Because if I go out there and I put a wrong square footage, if I add your carport or garage, if if I put that under roof, then all of a sudden you're going to be paying a lot more. So we have to make sure our numbers are accurate. We just went through a legislative audit last year. They went 11 months. They stayed in our office. Yeah. And they found out that our procedures are perfect. Our finances are perfect. The way we did our measurements were perfect. And all of our assessments, we're at 99% accuracy of the ones that we know. Yeah. Now, we still know we've now got this flyover that's catching more and more people. Sure. But there's people that told us that they had 1,200 square feet when they really had 1,800. Yeah. Sometimes it was an error. Sometimes it was because they didn't want to tell the truth. There's some people that are building homes on shed permits. Mm-hmm. You know what that is? Mm-hmm. A shed permit means that we don't pick it up. Yeah. So all of a sudden we found out that the permit director was allowing people to get these shed permits, building houses, and we found them. Yeah. And now all of a sudden, $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 homes that wasn't on the rolls because they were a shed permit. Right. It's a situation, Jeff, where when you started out, I'm sure back in 99, technology was not what it is today. I mean, I bet you had a job. When I walked in the door, had it not been for the clerk of court coming over Tom Sullivan, we didn't have the stuff necessary to run the office. Wow. Because the way it works is you've got a 14-month waiting period after you win the election. I won in October of 99. Mm-hmm. I wasn't supposed to take office until January of 2001. That's 14 months. Yeah. My predecessor had to resign in August, so I took over a little bit early. Yeah. Had I not took over, we'd have been completely out of money. Yeah. The computer screens and everything, the computers were basically just shells. Yeah. We had no information. But we had a backup over somewhere, so we was able to put everything back in to the computer. Yeah. But if we wouldn't have had it, we had nothing. We'd had to start all over. Wow. And so we went to do all of that, and the clerk loaned us pens. They loaned us paper. They gave us all these things. Tom Sullivan was the man. He really come through for us. And he said, I'm here. He said, we're coming into this together. Let's get it going. So we went through all this stuff. And it was amazing how much was wrong in that office. Yeah. And so we just started. We're going to do this. Technology, we were still taking the cards out of the file and writing them. And then we updated to where we could do it all on computer and print that out, and that was pretty cool. Sure. And you went from all of that. Now, I'll tell you a story. This is a true story. The reason we're with the software company that we are now, we'd researched them for a while, but we were fixing to put our assessment roll out. And we had 2 gentlemen that worked on them. They were the only 2 that knew this software service when I first walked in.
Sure.
One of them quit, moved out of state. The other one had a stroke right before we was going to do it. Literally, me, my chief deputy, and my chief office administrator. Chief deputy, he didn't do anything. But my chief office administrator, we were sitting there looking at it, and the guy was blinking for us to get it. This is a true story. He had to blink for us to know what categories to fill out so we could send out the tax notice. True story. And so I figured at that time, I said, yeah, we need to do something different. We need to have a bigger system in here. So we went and bought this software and services. It's worked out real well for us. We're going to be updating that also. But
my brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
It's those things, the technology, the flyovers now, the mapping system that we have. We Tommy and I started a mapping system that we did. Then we found another company that would upgrade it even more. And when you go on there, our mapping system is
it's unbelievable.
It's state of the art. It's a fantastic deal. So when you talk about going from, if I go to your house and nobody knows who you are and you're not on the roll, and I can't research it through the clerk's office, I may have to go back to that house 5, 6, 7 times. I may have to go at 7, 8 o'clock at night to find out that Jim lives there.
Yeah.
Whereas now when my map and the way the clerk and everything's figured things up, we just go through and put the description in, and it's coming up and it's showing up on our maps with a picture of the house. So when people come in and say, my house is not worth that much, you need to lower it. Okay, well, here's your neighbors. They're all on for this price per square foot. Why should I put you on less?
Yeah.
So it's made me very unpopular in the last 4 years since we've started doing that, and it's led to a lot of just unpopularity. But the work has to be done.
Yeah, and BJ Pawn and Gun in Denham Springs wants to buy your unwanted gold jewelry, gold coins, and gold bullion. With 30 years of experience operating in the Livingston Parish area, BJ Pawn wants to be your source when selling your gold. So stop by BJ Pawn today for a no-obligation offer. BJ Pawn, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. And you're in a job where no matter how good your job is, it's hard. People still look at it as, well, you're in my pocket, or you're in my, and you're really not. As a matter of fact,
they're not under a homestead exempt. Then I'm the bad guy.
Yes, exactly, and it's just your job. You're hired to do a job, and this is what you're hired to do. But I prefer to think about it like this: you're making sure I'm not over-assessed.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Instead of looking at it negatively and saying, well, he's trying to charge me more than it maybe I should have to pay, which you're not going to do. I look at it as you're making sure that I'm not paying more than I should have to.
Well, a lot of people think that I personally get the money. I'm sitting here going, it does me no good.
Yeah.
Think if you just put it on a basic level of thinking, why would I over-assess you? I've got to come back and ask you to support me in 4 years.
That's right.
So why would I overassess you?
That's right.
So I don't get the money. Some of it comes to my office to run my office.
Sure.
But these other districts get the money.
Yeah.
So why would I overassess you? There's two different rules, two different schools of thought. One is that you have people pay the maximum amount of taxes they can pay. The other one is you pay them least amount. My deal is I want you to pay the least amount of property taxes that you have to, because I want to make it right for everybody else to get. Yeah. And the way we do that, we'll talk about in a few minutes about lowering millages.
Yeah. And you said a key word earlier, which was fair. You just want to be fair with everybody.
I want to be fair.
I don't mind paying my fair share, and if everybody has that, because some of these taxes, I know we all hate paying taxes, but some of this money that you're paying in goes to some very good things. Mm-hmm. And as much as I don't like to pay this tax and that tax, whatever it is, I wouldn't have roads to drive on if I didn't pay them.
You wouldn't have schools.
Yeah.
You couldn't call the fire department and get them there.
Right.
They wouldn't have a road to go down.
Exactly.
You wouldn't have the equipment that they have. The sheriff's office. I like going to bed at night knowing that my streets are safe.
Absolutely.
I love it. I like going to bed at night knowing that my schools are being taught by good teachers and my good principals and my superintendent. They're taking care of our needs.
Yes.
I like that. I like fire departments. I like when my son and daughter played ball at Pards. I like to be able to go to a facility that was clean.
Absolutely.
And everybody wants to throw a fit about it and everything, but the truth of the matter is it takes money to do these things.
Yep.
And my job is to make sure, my only job is to make sure that you don't pay more than what you're supposed to.
That's right. That's right.
And make sure that everybody's on fair.
That's right. And we talked about, kind of the start of what you had to deal with when you got into the assessor's office and where we're at now. And I do want to mention that you have done a lot of things that I consider giving of yourself when it comes to supporting the assessor job. And I'll give you an example. So you've served on the board of directors for 12 years for the Assessors Association. You also served as treasurer. You served twice as vice president, once as interim president, and once as president. And in addition to that, in 2021, you were named Louisiana's assessor for the entire state of Louisiana. Now, there's a lot to be proud of there, Jeff. So, but what really struck me is that's your peers, right? These are people that these aren't people that don't know who they're voting for or what they're voting for. These are people that know everything about what you do, and they honored you with that. And you've kind of given of yourself in all these other positions that you've served with the state of Louisiana Assessors Association. How did that feel to get that recognition?
Well, as far as board of directors, I was asked to serve, and I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And then after a while, they asked me to serve as treasurer, and I'd become the treasurer for about 3 months when the president resigned. Mm-hmm. And the president resigned. That meant the vice president moved up, and then I moved up to vice president. 1 week later, the president resigned, and I became interim president.
Yeah.
So in a matter of about 2 weeks, I went from treasurer, vice president, president.
How about that?
And so we have guidelines that we have to follow. So I was in the presidency for a few months, and then we filled it with someone else.
Sure.
And I moved back to my position of vice president.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool that they felt good enough that they kept moving me to these positions because
Absolutely.
they knew that I was gonna. I'm one of those that if I see something needs to be done, I want to get it done.
Yes.
I don't want to lollygag with it. I don't want to put it out to the side. If it needs to be done, let's go get it done.
Yes.
And then I became president, and we went through all kind of changes and everything. But one of the things that I wanted in that is because in the assessor field, it's a male-dominated field.
Sure.
Okay, and we've got a lot of offices now being taken over by women, but our committees and everything were not represented by women very much. It was like an 8% of the women that were assessors were lead committee chairmen.
Sure.
And so I got it up to 25% because that's the number of assessor women that we had. So my year I became president, I said, I know you've served as a committee chair. I'm going to put you as vice chair because I need a lady in that position.
Fantastic.
Because we need to make sure that they understand that they're part of this association.
Yeah.
So I moved it up to the 25%.
Yeah.
And I made that a goal. That was one of my goals. I wanted it to be because I have a wife and a daughter.
Yeah.
I want people to know that what they do is important to me.
Right.
And so I moved them up to that. But then to get Assessor of the Year, this is from people that know what I do.
Exactly.
This is not people that are voting on popularity. This is not people. This is people that know what I do.
Yep.
And I was standing in the back of the room when they got up to announce it. And I was actually talking to the assessor from Livingston Parish, and they said my name, and I actually thought they could hear what I was saying and that I needed to quiet down. I said, I'm sorry. Like that, and everybody was looking at me and like that, and they would say, and they looked, and I said, what? And I started laughing. They said, say it again. So she said, my Assessor of the Year is Jeff Taylor.
Wow.
And I was literally so not expecting to get it.
Yeah.
That I wasn't even really paying attention because he and I were talking about something to do with legislation.
Sure.
And all of a sudden I forgot what legislation we was talking about, and I was the Assessor of the Year. I mean, you know, the Bible says not to be prideful and all that stuff. I don't think I'm prideful, but man, I was awfully proud of that.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, you kind of go through some things here in the parish that happened over the last couple of years and everything, and all of a sudden you go, okay.
Yeah.
All right, God, you've got it in control.
Yeah.
I was sitting here fretting about this or fretting about whether this legislation is going to pass. You got it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's such an honor that it was people that, like you say, they know what you do every day, and they're honoring you with this award. And we all like a little recognition for our hard work. And I mentioned all those other things that you did as you know, serving as the treasurer and the vice president and the president in a short length of time, because the key word there is serve. And you know, you got a family too, right? Yeah. And all these things, and you're dedicating yourself to going further than just being, you know, the assessor for Livingston Parish. You're putting yourself in other roles that, you know, it's not like you're getting $1 million for being treasurer of the Assessors Association. You're doing
get nothing.
You get nothing. It's a serve role, and it's just you giving more of yourself, and so that's a fantastic thing.
But I was taught that, Jim, from the time you asked about my mom and dad.
Yeah,
they taught us to serve.
Yes,
that's what you do.
Absolutely.
You walk into a room and you find out what you can do. You don't walk into a room loud. You don't walk into a room trying to make everybody see you. You walk into a room and see, what can I do?
Yeah.
How can I help you?
How can I help? That's
because
right.
I saw it so many times when someone lost a loved one. My dad and mom would walk in, how can I help you?
Mm-hmm.
How can I help you? When we lost my sister, we were all sitting on the couch. And I looked at my mom and said, I don't know what to do, because usually at this time, I'm helping serve drinks or food or anything. I don't know how to take it.
Yeah.
And she said, well, you have to. I said, I understand.
Yeah.
But it's harder because it really is one of those things where when you have somebody that wants to serve people, let them serve. I tell my friends all the time, if somebody's trying to help you, let them help you.
Yeah.
Because they've been through it.
That's right. That's great advice. Great advice. Now, Casey, have you called the plumber about the sink in the break room?
Yep, they came this morning. I can't believe you missed them.
What was their name again?
Giot's Plumbing.
Wow, that was quick, and they did a great job.
They did. And when you need plumbing services of any type, give Giot's Plumbing a call. With over 50 years combined plumbing experience, the team at Giot's Plumbing can handle all of your plumbing needs. So whether it's residential, commercial, new construction, or reconstruction, give Giot's Plumbing a call at 907-6282 and get scheduled fast.
Giot's Plumbing, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. You've done a lot of good things, obviously, for the office that you serve and with the assessor's office. And we want to get into some of those. So you talked about earlier, purging the tax rolls, to give districts more accurate information, when they're doing their budgets and things like that. You also piloted a computerized data system to manage assessment information. And you currently, we discussed this a little bit about the mapping system, but I want you to tell us about that, because it's an amazing, featured in USA Today 4 times, you know, and you've really assisted with this mapping system. So tell us all about that.
I was doing some studying on mapping at different areas that we was going through. And so I contacted this company, and I told them, I said, here's what I'm trying to do. We have a little bit of an ownership map, but it's not a great ownership map. I said, I want it to be to where my realtors and my people that are doing abstractors can come out there and they can look at this and they know when they leave there that they've got the information.
Sure.
And I don't want bad information put on there. So if you don't have the right information, put question marks on it. Yeah. And that means that we don't know who owns that. So if anybody sees that question mark, you can call and say, oh, Jim owns that piece of property.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can go research it. So we got with the company. It took us 5 years to pay for it.
Wow.
5 years.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the money.
Yeah.
Just simple. Yeah. Ascension started their program with us, the Ascension Assessor that's in there right now. Mm. He actually came to my office and trained. He saw what we was trying to do.
Yeah.
And so Ascension has a lot more money than Livingston.
Yes.
Because of all the districts. Sure. Baton Rouge has more, West Baton Rouge. So we had to piecemeal ours together. So I worked it out with a computer company. I'll pay for it over 5 years because we couldn't go live until we paid for it.
Right.
And so by the time I started mine until I got it online, it was 5 years.
Yeah.
Ascension bought theirs in our third year, and the fourth year they were online. So it looked like they were the first ones. We had to wait another year to get ours online.
Okay.
Because we had to pay for it.
Yeah.
But we come out here and they've started being able to break things out for us. Our realtors and our abstractors, they'll call me all the time and say, man, this is great. Can you do this? Yeah. Because I didn't buy it for the assessor's office. Matter of fact, when I put it out, we had a big deal. Casey may remember this. We had a big deal at the Forest Grove over here. And I told him, I said, I want to introduce y'all to the new mapping system. And a guy said, he says, is this the assessor's mapping system? I said, no, this is the Livingston Parish mapping system.
Right.
This is, I'm giving you, you're not going to pay for it because taxpayers are already paying for it. So why am I going to charge other people for it?
Sure.
So realtors, you get it for free. If you want to get on it, you can. You can't change anything.
Yeah.
Because then all of a sudden we'd have everybody changing
and
everything. But you can get on there and look at it. But I gave it to them for free. So it's a Livingston Parish mapping system.
Jeez.
And so, over in these others, they're charging people for it. No, I want to give this to you.
Excellent.
And because I was able to get it, then Greg and them came in and they've tweaked it. We now can lay over all of our districts. We can lay our Senate districts, our sewer districts, our recreation districts. Everything can be laid out, and you know exactly who's supposed to be in those taxing districts. And it's off the chart.
Yeah, and I encourage anyone, you can research some of that stuff online with the Livingston Parish mapping system, and I encourage you to check it out and get more information on that.
I encourage them to go on there and look at any of them. If you see the question marks, there's 3 question marks.
Yep.
They're side by side. If you see one of those and you know who owns that property, let us know. Because there's a chance there could be a house on there that's not assessed.
Sure.
That usually gets people's attention. My neighbor may not be paying attention. Could be. But the truth of the matter is we're not doing it to catch people. We want to get it to where the information is correct. We want to see who owns the land. We want to be able to, because a lot of times that goes into revenue sharing from the state on how much you've got done correctly, how much is not on the tax rolls. So it affects our districts.
Absolutely, it does. And so that's a great thing. And who would have thought in Livingston Parish right here we'd have all this high-tech equipment?
Well, I would tell you that Eagleview came in on this mapping, and they did a flyover.
Yeah.
They were going to do a flyover, okay?
Yep.
And the flyover we first did was like a 2 to 3 inch pixel.
Yeah.
And so they come back in and said, look, we got this new thing out. It's a 1 inch pixel. And I said, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I said, it's going to be so good that you can see a golf ball on the green. That's how good, that's how low we're going to be able to fly. You can see a doorknob on the door.
Yeah.
Well, that means that you can assess the property from that map now. You don't have to send guys out there and get eat up by dogs and stung by wasps. And so when they told me that, they said, you're going to be one of the first in the nation to have this. I'm thinking, okay, this dude's trying to sell me something.
Yeah.
But I like the idea and everything. I'm going to go, well, I go to a conference in Portland a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. And while I'm there, Washington, Oregon, California, and Idaho are there. They ain't never heard of it.
Really?
And so as I'm there, the guy says, do you mind giving a little update on what it's like to have 1 inch pixel? So when the guy sold it to me, he was telling the truth. Yeah. We were some of the first in the country in Livingston Parish. Us and Lafayette were 2 of the first ones to have the 1 inch pixel flyover.
How about that?
Yeah.
Man,
and
that's
so
huge.
when you start looking at these things, when I used to go to, and I'm not bragging on Jeff, I'm bragging on the office, because these people that work for me, they work hard.
Yeah.
They take a lot of abuse, but they work hard. But when I first become assessor, I'd go to international conferences, and they had at one time on ways not that they had some fraud things that was happening, and Livingston was up there.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in there, and I just introduced myself as Livingston Assessor.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you look up on that screen, and there it is. Ways not to do things.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, ways to do things.
Exactly.
And Livingston's up there.
Yeah.
So now you set up a little bit higher, whereas before you slid down.
Oh, yeah. You didn't want nobody to see.
No, I didn't say Livingston. I said Livingston.
Well, y'all have done a great job with that. And, of course, LP, we've had our share of bad luck the past 4 years. First, the Great Flood. I mean, we were all in that one together. And then in 2020, COVID reared its ugly head and kind of hit us again. Yeah. Now, as the assessor, you have been very understanding, and your office has been understanding. You've even implemented some programs to kind of help people who maybe can't get back on their feet, even since the flood. Yeah. Believe it or not, there's still people out there, folks. But also with some COVID discounts and some pilot programs and things like that. So let's cover the flood and the COVID programs that you have.
When we did the flood hit. Okay, the assessment role was opening for inspection the Monday.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses, so don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
After the flood hit.
Yeah.
We had already done all of our work for the year.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the flood hit. And so we were supposed to open on the 15th. I think it was 16th. It was the Monday.
Yeah.
And so I called the tax commission. I said, look, this is not going to work. I said, first of all, nobody can get here.
Right.
Second of all, nobody's coming in, and because all their stuff's floated down the river.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, no, you've got to be open. The law says you've got to be open and let people come in and inspect the rolls. So by about Wednesday, they called me back and they said, well, you can shut down. So, no kidding.
Yeah.
These people's houses are destroyed. Thank you very much. Yeah. Well, we had to come up with a way to have some kind of fairness about it. You're hearing on the on the news that Baton Rouge is given a 50 to 60% reduction for people that flooded. Ascension's given a 70 to 75% reduction to people that flooded.
Yeah.
I knew I couldn't do that.
Right.
I knew there was no way. If I gave a 75% reduction in 1 year, we were not going to have a sheriff's department. We were not going to have schools. We were not going to have fire departments.
Right.
So I had to be the person that stood with my districts and stood with my people, and I had to come up with something in the middle.
Right.
So what I worked out with a group of districts and with the people, I didn't just do this on my own. I asked questions.
Yeah.
What if we do this? Since they're giving 70 over in Ascension, what if I give 20% a year?
Yeah.
For 4 years, because Ascension gave it for 1 year.
Right.
So I said that still equals out to 80% for my people. It's just you got to have it over 4 years.
Yeah.
Now it wasn't fun because people were sitting there going, "But my house is not worth it." I understand.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, the assessment's on January the 1st, so you really owe the higher amount. Now January 1st is next year. You've got an argument, but not this year.
Right.
So worked it out, and we did it. We gave them a 20, 25, 20, and a 20. So they actually worked out to be an 85% reduction in their assessments over 4 years.
And, Jeff, it had to be a tough decision as to where, you want to do the right thing by everybody.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, it's not so clear as, well, we'll just give you, because you've got to see the backside of that and the programs that are going to suffer because that money is not being funneled into it.
How many people were going to come up in May and say, why are we not playing ball?
Yes.
Why can't we play ball?
Yeah.
Well, we don't have any money because we gave you a 70% reduction and it shut down the park. Well, why did it take the sheriff's office 3 hours to get away? He had to lay off deputies because he didn't have the money to get there.
Yeah.
Fire department may not be responding. So I had to make sure that the districts had the money that they needed to operate, not excess. And I told them, I said, you will not have excess. But I also had to make it fair for the homeowners.
Right.
Now, there are some homeowners that have held me responsible for the fact that I didn't just give it to them. I said, okay, I got you. But you got 85% instead of 70. And I understand it wasn't optimal, but it was the best that we could come up with.
Yeah.
And so we did that for you, and we gave it to you.
Jim, we're swamped with these podcasts, and I'm in the mood for some local barbecue for lunch.
Barbecue? Casey, the problem with barbecue is the speed. That would take forever.
Not at Buddy's Barbecue. With the drive-through line, they can get us fed fast, and that sauce, yum.
It is right in the heart of Denham Springs. Do they have specials?
Yes, they have plate lunch specials every day, Jim. And I bet you didn't know they offer some of the best catfish plates you've ever tasted on Fridays. And on Saturdays, they have smoked ribeyes. They are as flavorful as you can find anywhere.
Okay, I'm hungry. What's the number? I'll call it in.
No, just go online and place your order. By the time you're finished, I can head that way.
That is convenient and really smart.
Yep, just like me.
A local business, and you know what I always say.
Oh, yes. Jim Chapman loves local.
Correct. And that makes me smart.
Oh, please. If you're in the mood for barbecue, go see Buddy's Barbecue at 105 Florida Avenue Southeast, right in the heart of Denham Springs. They're a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast.
And, you know, for the most part, you always got some that's going to just...
You can't please 100%
can't please
of the
them
people.
all the time.
There's no doubt.
When they saw it, but I went to the tax commission. I told them, I said, this is what I'm going to do. I said, I'm the duly elected assessor in Livingston Parish. I'm going to make this decision. So I did it. And just was fortunate the tax commission went along with it. And then they told us this past year, you got to take it off.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, no problem. I said, what about my people that are still working? They said, there's not many people that are still working. I said, there's still people working on their houses.
Yeah.
I said, I've got neighbors that are still working on their houses. They still got concrete floors, and they've got their walls are not finished. So we put out a little deal, billboards. You may have saw some of the billboards over there that said, look, if you've suffered any loss and if you're still working on your home, please call us. We did. A lot of people called and said that they would send us pictures and everything. So we had a lot of that. And then businesses that were affected by the flood still. You know, they were back up and running, but some of them were still doing things to their building.
Sure.
So we took all that when they just bring in proof to us. We'll go out and verify it. As we found out that a few people were willing to bring us proof of houses in Mississippi.
Yeah.
We don't have houses in Mississippi. We've got them here.
Yeah.
So I don't need the pictures of your house in Mississippi. I need them here. And so we did that, and then COVID came along.
Yeah.
Well, the flood discount falls off. It's another reassessment year, so we're fixing to get this big jump in assessments.
Yeah.
And COVID hits, and everybody's sitting here going, "Man, what now?"
Right.
You know, I've got to come up with this money to pay for this. My business is shut down. I'm getting laid off and everything. So, as far as we know, I'm the only assessor in the state that gave a 10% COVID discount.
Yeah.
Everybody talked about it. They kept going back and forth, and they, we don't know what to do. Giving a 10% COVID, because I don't know what's going to happen with home sales.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen now. Home sales are up right now, but if this thing keeps going, Jim, what's going to happen when people start losing their jobs?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they can't pay the house notes.
That's right.
Then you're in the deal. So I lowered it 10%. I'm keeping that 10% on for this year, for 2021. And I'm going to look at it again and see if it doesn't need to be more. And if it needs to be more, I'm going to give it to them. But our businesses, I told them, I said, you bring in what you lost from from March the 1st to July the 31st. You bring in what you lost in revenue.
Yeah.
And we're going to put that we put it into a formula, and we were giving people reductions for that.
Absolutely.
So it was deserved. Big Mike deserves a break.
He sure does.
Because he's sitting there and he's trying to keep us. He supports everything in this parish. Every time somebody comes up to him, he does it. So when it came time for him to get some kind of reduction, I felt it was well deserved.
I agree.
I felt it was well deserved.
I agree 100%. And you know, it's surprising you're the only one that's really offered that, or at least pushed it through and has implemented it. in the state. But
I can assure you, I'm the only one that put billboards up to let everybody know. Yeah. Some other people may have said to the businesses, if you have a loss, come in and see us.
Yeah.
But if me and you's talking about that and I haven't told the world,
right?
I went on the Denham Springs News podcast. I put billboards up. We sent letters out. If you've had a reduction, please let us know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it was out there.
Yeah, we've done our due diligence on that.
There's no doubt about it. Now you also sponsor Assess the Need and have done that for a long time. One of my favorite programs, amazing parish-wide school supply drive that obviously helps needy families. And take it from a guy who's got 3 kids. School supplies ain't cheap.
No, they are not cheap.
They are not cheap.
Nope.
And I want to tell you, all you listeners out there, I want to discuss it a little bit because you're in your 20th year with Assess the Need. So tell us about Assess the Need, how you originally got into it, and all the great things that you're doing for this 20th year of Assess the Need.
Okay. Well, first of all, 20th year, we just celebrated it. We've raised right at $1 million. We may be a little bit over $1 million in that time period, which is huge.
Huge.
For the kids of this parish.
Fantastic.
It started because we had a office manager from one of the schools, secretary, call and say, everybody gets something for Christmas and everything, but we've got kids that are coming to school that have no notebooks. Is there anything you could possibly do to help me in my school? Well, me and my wife were sitting there talking. I said, well, we can possibly do this and everything. And then she said, we could do a program. And she said the program could be called Assess the Need, a play off the assessor's office.
Yeah.
Assess
That's
the Need.
a great.
Yeah. So she came up
play.
with the name. She and I sat down and we started putting this plan together.
Yeah.
And we got input from teachers and everyone like that. Called my mom and dad and told them, I said, this is what we're going to try to do. And so when I went to the school board, I asked, I was thinking it was going to be about $2,000-$3,000, honest to God.
Yeah.
So the first year, when I went to the school board, I said, this is what we're going to try to do. Because I was from Frost.
Yeah.
We had 100 students. So you have 3% of the people. So that's 3. And so each school is going to have 3. So we're going to have to help, 100 kids.
Yeah.
And we're going to put $30 in each one of them. So it's going to be $3,000. Had it in my mind.
Yeah.
Book sack and everything.
Sure.
Went to the school board and I said, how many students you got? They said, we got 14,000. I said, okay, about how many students do you think are in need? They said, probably about 10 to 12%. So I'm like, okay, I said, excuse me? I said, how many do you have? And so it's going to be 1,400 students.
Yeah.
So I called my mom. I said, Mom, I've already told these people what we were going to do.
Yeah.
And my mom is a faithful person.
Sure.
And so she said, God owns the cattle of 1,000 hills. She said, he's never left you short.
Yeah.
Never left you short. I said, but Mom, you're not understanding. 1,400 kids at $20 a piece is $28,000. I said, I was expecting to reach. She said, do you believe? And I said, I don't know, but I know you do.
Yeah.
And so I called my wife and told her what it was going to be. And so we prayed.
Yeah.
And Jim, the first year, we raised $32,000.
Amazing.
To help all the kids. In 20 years, we have never come up short, not one time.
Yeah.
Every year I fret about it. Yeah. I'm the one, ye of little faith. I go, man, there's no way we can raise $45,000.
Yeah.
There's no way we're going to raise that kind of money.
Yeah.
And I get to the end and I ask Krista, I said, how'd we do? We got a little bit left over for surplus for next year for the advertising.
Yeah.
Every year. He owns the cattle of 1,000 hills. He's not going to leave you short.
That's right.
He is going to be there to answer the question. But we have been able to do this over and over and over 20 years.
Yeah.
And not only have we helped Livingston Parish, but when the storms came through, we went to Texas when it hit over in Lake Charles and all the areas. We went to Lake Charles. We took school supplies to Lake Charles, truckloads. And we went to Texas. We went to Plaquemines Parish. We have been to Orleans Parish, taking all these supplies to Mississippi, Texas, different places. When the big hurricane hit with Katrina and Rita back to back, somehow somebody found out about it on Facebook. And the next thing you know, I'm contacted with somebody from Illinois and from Pennsylvania. We want to help. I said, great, we could use anything you can do, money or supplies. Just send them, we'll help distribute them. Well, all of a sudden, my pastor at the church called, and he said, you're going to need to get over here. And I said, what's the matter? He said, they got a little moving truck over here that's full of supplies, and so I can't undo them. Can you bring some guys to help? I said, yeah, well, a moving truck is a little rider truck.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, no. When I got to the church, there was an 18-wheeler parked at the church with supplies from front to back, top to bottom, with nothing but school supplies, everything that everybody was going to need. So we were able to completely take care of Lake Charles. It was amazing how he took just a little grain and he multiplied it.
Yeah.
And all because somebody saw it on Facebook. Who sees Assess the Need on Facebook?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we got a 18-wheeler. So we had to call other people. We can't get this done. We don't even have anywhere to put it in the church. We filled up the choir room. We filled up every room that we could possibly do. And then church people started showing up.
Yeah.
And they were saying, we can take this one. I know some people over at this school in Lake Charles. They'd go. They'd just drive. They'd pull a trailer. And all of a sudden, before you know it, in 2 or 3 weeks, we had all those supplies gone. And we had met all the needs of the people.
Wow.
Amazing.
It really is, Jeff.
Just
and you
amazing.
can see your passion for it. And that's, it's, we were all young once. And when you're young, you don't realize the importance of giving back like you do when you get a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
And all you listeners out there that you support these nonprofits, and especially our homegrown ones like yours, because it matters. It's a direct impact on your community. And wow, when you sit back and you think about what that means to a kid who didn't have a pencil or didn't have, a notebook, and how blessed we are that we don't, our children didn't know that.
Didn't know that feeling.
Yeah. William Waldrop of TWFG Insurance cares. He cares about his customers, their families, and the Livingston Parish community. Call William Waldrop today for all your insurance needs at 225-667-2040. TWFG Insurance and William Waldrop. Their policy is caring. And they're a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast.
But, Jim, it's not a deal to where when that child walks into the class that they say one time, I don't have a pencil. They say it 6 times that day.
It's amazing.
I don't have a pencil. I don't have paper. I don't have. And before you know, they become the have-nots. I don't have in life. I don't have. But all of a sudden, somebody just reaches down and gives you a hand and pulls you up.
Yeah.
Pasha Roller, sweet Pasha, over at Southside Elementary. She called me one day. There was a child that was being terribly disruptive in class. Her mom was either in jail or non-existent. Her dad was either in jail or non-existent. This child was in bad shape, living with grandparents. So Pasha went down to get her. She was sitting in the back classroom, disruptive. Pasha goes down and gets her, brings her to the office, and tells her to pick up some school supplies. And the little girl says, I don't have any money to get. She said, you don't have to. She said, because the people of Livingston Parish have supplied you with these supplies.
Yeah, it's huge, man.
And gave it to her. The little girl finished the year all A's, had moved up to the front of the class, and Pasha says she became a model student.
Wow.
You never know that one person that you help.
That's right.
Will become the best housewife, minister, doctor, lawyer. She may become the next assessor, and she may be the best one we ever had.
Yeah, that's right. That's a great point, man. And you just never know who you touch.
You never know who you touch.
I love it. So you may have noticed, if you hadn't seen Jeff Taylor for a little while, his hair's a little bit longer than normal. But let's discuss why you're growing your hair out, because some people may be saying, "What is he going hippie on us?"
I've had that. I've had the boy's lost his mind. He's growing his hair back out. He's trying to relive his glory. The boy's lost his mind.
I love it.
He's trying to relive his glory days of the 18 to 22 when he had the longer hair and all these things. But truthfully, it happened quite on a whim because of COVID.
Yeah.
And I saw Dirk and Hootie Lockhart at Greystone. And one day and my hair was getting longer because I couldn't get a haircut.
Sure.
And my hair was always so short. Yeah. And all of a sudden it was getting to where I couldn't comb it. I couldn't do anything with it. And Hootie said, man, you ought to grow your hair out. I said, for what? He said, for St. Jude. He said, you know, I put on that golf tournament every year. I said, I'm in.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
I didn't think about discussing it with my wife, who I should have. But I just said, I'm in. Well,
right.
I started then, and a lot of people didn't, that they would hear about it. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they started seeing my hair get longer and longer. And then I went through the stage where I had to slick it back because I couldn't do anything with it.
Sure.
And then I run into Hootie, and he said, you're really going to do this? I said, I'm absolutely going to do it. And so I thought I was just doing it for Hootie and them. But then I met people that have lost their hair to cancer. Mm-hmm. And I met women that told me, you have no idea what it means when you get a wig, when you've had cancer. Yeah. And all of a sudden it didn't become a deal of, well, this would be fun to do. It became something I wanted to do. Yeah. And it's going to look ridiculous. It's going to get worse than this. It's going to be a ponytail. I need to tell the people at church that I am going to be wearing it. Be prepared. Yeah. I'm going to be wearing a ponytail before long because I can't really do anything with it. Yeah. My wife complains because all the hairspray and all the gel are gone from the house. But it's going to get to a point to where I'm going to do that. It's going to take me about another year and 2 or 3 months, Jim, to get to where I'm at.
Tiffany C-Card with Home Key Mortgage combines the experience and knowledge you need to make your mortgage loan a smooth, stress-free process. Reach out to Tiffany for more information on the vast mortgage programs available in the Livingston Parish area. Tiffany C-Card of Home Key Mortgage, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Now is the time, more than ever, to support local business. Elisa Verrett Interiors and Custom Workroom is working hard to use made in the USA products for all their clients' window coverings. Schedule your appointment today for a consultation on Roman shades, drapes, shutters, outdoor sunshades, and even woven woods. Need a virtual appointment? No problem. Call Elisa at area code 225-955-1135. Elisa Verrett Interiors and Custom Workroom, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast.
And you see how long it is now.
Yeah.
Again, it's going to look ridiculous, but man, how good is it going to feel to know when they cut this hair that somebody is going to be able to go to Walmart or they're going to be able to go to church and not be self-conscious.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all about that. It's all about just sometimes just being nice. It just does not hurt to be nice. It don't cost you a penny to be nice.
That's right.
It just don't.
It don't.
It makes you grow your hair out sometimes, but
those of us that can actually, yes, and what a great. So this is through St. Jude.
I'm going to raise money. I am actually raising money. So if anybody wants to give, they can contact me. Yeah, we're raising money for the hair. Yeah, is what it's called. The money we raise will go to St. Jude. Yeah. The hair, when it's cut, will go to cancer services or Locks of Love or someone like that. So, excellent. But the money, and we're actually doing okay on the raising of the money. I didn't think people would give money for me to raise my hair, but they are. And so that's fantastic. I want to raise money, and we was hoping to do it for this April for the golf tournament. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's not going to be there. Yeah. So it's going to be through next April. So we're going to start a GoFundMe for the hair pretty soon. If people just want to give, it's no pressure. If you don't give, don't give. Yeah. But if you want to, everything, not one penny is going to go to any administration or anything. It's all going to go to St. Jude. It's going to go to the St. Jude Golf Tournament next April. So if you want to give something to it, please give me a call and I'll tell you how to do it.
Yeah, and I'll definitely link all those things to my social media whenever you get them ready and set up to go. I do want to mention St. Jude is such a great national charity, and I've actually toured St. Jude's Children's Hospital in Memphis. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow, man. It is, it's one of those charities that I never hesitate to give to because I see exactly where that money's going. Yeah. And what a fantastic national charity that St. Jude is.
Well, you've got the golf tournament. Then you got Trevor Van Pran that is just so dear to me. His mom and I grew up together and everything. And they've been through so many things. I went up to St. Jude to cook for the runners and everything. I took my smoker up there and we cooked. Yeah. But Trevor has got Team Trevor. So I'm doing all of this to make sure that St. Jude is honored through Monroe Lockhart and through Trevor Van. It just means something. It just means something.
Yes, yeah. So get all the information you can on that, and Jeff will make sure it goes to a good cause if you'd like to donate some
100%.
100%. Now, you support your community in a lot of ways. You're affiliated with a lot of community organizations, including you're a chamber member. Mm-hmm. Chamber of Commerce, Livingston Parish. Of course, I'm an active member of the chamber as well. We love our chambers around here. You're a member of Kiwanis, Rotary. Yep. Golly, Jeff, you coach sports teams. You even serve as a volunteer in the school system.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you may think there's no way Jeff Taylor has time for hobbies. No way. But, rumor on the street is you've taken up flying lessons.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, Delia's a pilot.
Okay.
She went a few years ago for Christmas. I gave her some pilot lessons. I bought her some pilot lessons just to see if she wanted to do it. And so she did, and she pursued it. And so
seems like everything she thinks about, she pursues.
She goes and does it. Look,
completes.
She's living life to the fullest.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy for her because she is living it to the fullest.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a few years ago, we found out that a plane, we could buy this little 172.
Yeah.
And so we bought this plane.
Yeah.
And so we bought it with the understanding that it was going to take me this much money to do lessons, my daughter this much money. So if we bought the plane, we could pay for it in the amount of lessons and everything, and then we could sell it if we wanted to. Yeah. So I decided to go start flying, found out that I liked it a whole lot.
Yeah.
So I'm now getting back into it because COVID's knocked all that out, but I'm getting back into it. Got to do my ground and all that stuff. So I'm excited about becoming a pilot because the truth of the matter is she already knows how to fly. So if both of us up in the air, we can fly at different places.
Yeah.
If we want to go to watch my daughter play ball, we can fly to Memphis. Fantastic. If I want to go to Houston, Austin to see my nephew, I can fly over there. And all of a sudden it's fun because when you get that high up in the air, when you're 6,000 feet up in the air on a Saturday morning and the sun's just coming up and it's beautiful, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden I decided I'm going to do that.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, it seems like a lot of fun. And maybe one day I'll take some flying lessons, get out there.
Well, you need to go up with my wife. You need to let her just take you up because she's already a pilot. She can take you up and fly you.
Awesome.
It's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
Yeah. So you have JT. Yep. Okay. He just won him a little election there.
Yeah.
Mayor of
Livingston.
Livingston. Yeah. So how proud are you that he won that race? And
Jonathan was Jonathan is what we all called him. His mom wanted it to be Jonathan. She didn't want it to be John. She didn't want it to be Nathan. And then all of a sudden, I told her, I said, "How you feel about it now?" He's JT.
Yeah, there
so
you go.
Short. But Jonathan was our first baby. His dad lived with us for years. His dad is my dad's brother.
Okay.
But he lived with us from the time I was 5, 6 years old. So he's my brother.
Yeah.
So it's the weirdest little thing. So we introduce each other as our brother, nephew, and things like that.
Sure.
So, but Jonathan was our first baby.
Yeah.
And so there's just a special place for Jonathan Taylor. But other than him just being ours, he is such a good guy.
Yeah.
This guy really gives of himself. He loves his family. He loves his community. Even before he was going to run for office, you'd see him out there cleaning the streets, picking up the garbage and everything. What a wonderful testament of a guy.
Yeah.
And, of course, I'm biased because I just absolutely love him. I mean, he's my baby. I just love him to death. And I know he's going to love the fact that I'm calling the mayor of Livingston my baby, but you know what, son? You're my baby. So.
That's it. And he is. He's a great guy and did a great job with the tourism office.
Absolutely.
And now he's moving on to bigger and better things, and very happy for that. Stephanie Berthelot and the crew at SR Enterprise can handle it all, from sheetrock to texture to paint. Give Stephanie a call at 504-432-9284. SR Enterprise, where they spread the paint and you spread the word. So one thing we do on this show is we do fun facts. Okay. Every week when I interview people, I like to come up with some fun facts on kind of what they do, and we both have a little fun with that. It's Casey's favorite part of the program, I think.
All right, Casey.
She loves fun facts.
Okay.
So today I came up with some on assessing.
Okay.
And you'll find these interesting. Be glad you don't live in New Jersey, because if you lived in New Jersey, you would be the highest property tax rate of anywhere in the country.
That's right.
I'm convinced Bon Jovi calls that.
Absolutely.
It had to be. They're actually somewhere close to 2% on their assessments that they do. In contrast, Louisiana actually has a reasonably low rate compared to nationally. So be glad that you live in Louisiana. We compared to the national average, we're actually lower towards the bottom in the entire nation. So interestingly also is that if you live in Livingston Parish, you're not paying the highest property tax rate. You got to go to St. Tammany Parish to get that.
That's right.
And the parish with the lowest tax rate is property tax rate is St. Landry Parish. So they have the lowest, but not much further. Livingston Parish kind of in the middle there, which is right where you need to be, I guess. So some interesting things there, because if you live here, sometimes people think they pay more taxes than anywhere in the world. And,
and they don't.
No, they're not even close. I mean, we're one of the lowest states
absolutely
in the entire country.
And believe me, mass appraisal helps you pay even less. Some of these states have to do an appraisal. We do a mass. Mass means average.
Yes.
Okay. So you could be paying a lot more, but I guarantee you're not going to be paying more than you're supposed to, because we study it and we make sure that you're right. So you're right. Livingston's really doing it where it's supposed to be done.
Doing well. Love living here. And man, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you coming on. I enjoyed this. This was fun. I got to know more about you. Like I said at the beginning, I love researching people ahead of time. And I learned some things about you, man. You're doing a great job over there.
Well, one of the things that the assessors will tell you, they're not surprised when they get an email from me at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Because the word on the street over there with the assessor, he don't sleep. When do you sleep? But, I may wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and start doing some work on my computer, and then I send all my emails out. And then all of a sudden they'll get another email at 6, and they'll get one at 8, they'll get one at 10 o'clock. And they're like, when do you sleep? Whenever I sleep. It's just, I've always been a person that didn't need a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
And, you give me a 10-minute cat nap, and I'm off and running for another 3 or 4 or 5 hours. And so it's just that I enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. It's not a deal to where you have a job.
Right.
My job is being the assessor.
Yeah.
I have other activities and hobbies and everything that I do. But I do love being an assessor of Livingston Parish, because I feel like where we've come from in 1999 to where we are today, light years. And the technology in the last 2 or 3 years is so fast, Jim. It's just moving at us as fast as you can. As soon as you buy something, it's almost obsolete.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing, because we can just keep on adding things.
It really is. It really is. And you've done a great job over there. There's no doubt about it. Tell everyone where they can find you online if they want to look up more information on the assessor's office.
LivingstonAssessor.com is where you want to go to, and that's going to give us our website, and you're going to be able to go in there and visit and see anything that you want to about us. We're thinking about updating the pictures as I go along.
Yeah.
That one has not garnered widespread support yet from my office nor my wife. But we try to stay current with everything that's happening, some of the laws, the changes in homestead exemption. One of the things that just changed this past year is the freeze form that you can actually, if you're over 65, you can come in and freeze your assessment, not your taxes, because, again, I don't do taxes. I do assessment. But you can freeze your assessment. Well, before, the limit was like $74,000 that a couple could make. If you made over that, you couldn't freeze your assessment.
Sure.
In session this last time, we raised that to $100,000.
Wow.
So that helps a few more people. Because, look, if you've been paying taxes all your life at 65 years old, you deserve some kind of a break. And the only way we can come up with a break is to keep your assessment the same. Now, if somebody goes in and passes another tax, if the school board, sheriff, fire district, anybody passes a tax, your taxes will go up.
Yeah.
And as I told you a while ago, a good case in point for people to understand, I can assess your property at $1 million. And if there's no taxes passed, if there's no millages, your tax rate is zero. I don't pass those taxes. Every time you go and you vote on one, understand that when you come in, people will come in and tell me, say, well, I agree with my assessment, but my taxes are too high. Different ballgame.
Yeah.
All you and I can do is agree on your assessment. If your assessment is wrong and you can show me, I'll fix it. If your assessment is right, I'll prove it to you.
Well, the people pass the taxes.
People pass the taxes.
It's the majority.
Absolutely.
I mean,
if you don't vote in them,
that.
if you don't like taxes and you don't vote, then shame on you.
Yeah, I mean that's you got no right to complain at that point,
right.
for sure. So I do want to thank Miss Kate. Oh, before I go, I did want to mention this. So we talked about your wife a little bit, but you've been with her a long time. I mean, y'all were high school. You've been in love since you was in high school.
That's right. 34 years I've been married, and I dated her for 4 years before that. I started dating her, actually almost 5 years. I started dating her in 81. Wow. When I was a senior at Doyle High School. Yeah. And she and I have been through all kind of things, a lot of adventures, children, fun times, love her to death. She's been June the 20th this year at 6 o'clock will be 35 years that we've been together. So very proud of that accomplishment. I'm very proud of her. I'm very proud of the things that she has accomplished in her career. She has been strong, stands right there beside me.
Yeah, and they say behind every strong man is a strong woman. There's no doubt about it.
And a surprise mother-in-law. So
that's a true statement.
That's a true statement. Absolutely.
No doubt about it. Well,
but yeah, she has been a rock. She's been right there with me. We started off with nothing. Yeah. And we've been able to build a life together that has been just joyous.
Well, that's a beautiful thing, sir.
I'm not going to climb a mountain with her, but
no, we'll have to get her on here to talk about that. Yes. She is an amazing woman in her own right.
Absolutely.
So one day we'll get her on the show. I do want to thank Miss Casey McMurray, who's in the shadows behind me, for her assistance in everything we do. She is absolutely invaluable. My guest for today, Livingston Parish Assessor Jeff Taylor, and all you viewers and listeners for your support. Follow me on social media and spread the word, because we're all about local business over here, and we sure appreciate it. Thank you to all my local business sponsors, including Premier Credit, Tricia Johnston Realtor, PJ Pawn, SR Enterprise Painting, Tiffany C. Carter Homekey Mortgage, Buddy's Barbecue, Black Sheep Creative Media, Gilliot's Plumbing, iTrade Exchange, Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill, Alyssa Verrett Interiors and Custom Workroom, and Sporting Center. If you would like to sponsor local the leaders or appear on the show, please reach out to Casey McMurray via email at casey@localleaders.com. And until next week, I am Jim Chapman, reminding you, love your community, support local business, and keep leading. Dane Arnold with iTrade Exchange has been enabling small business in the Livingston Parish area to save cash through his network of over 300 participating Livingston Parish businesses. Saving cash by trading services with other exchange members is what iTrade Exchange is all about. For more information, contact Dane Arnold at 225-205-3640 or visit iTradeExchange.biz. Black Sheep Creative understands the importance of digital marketing and your return on your investment. It's their aim to provide professional web and graphic design services at a price point that smaller businesses and startups can afford. Get in touch with them on the web at blacksheepcreative.com.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woo-hooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses, so don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.